Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. I'm totally in the spirit of Shabbat and the Chag from that music.
Oh, I was just going to say, I just imagine dancing around in circles, dancing with the Torah, dancing in my sukkah. Oh, it's so wonderful. How are you, Cantor?
I am well. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. It's perfect weather out here in my sukkah. I'm happy I can
it's so beautiful.
be out here. Yeah, we're very lucky. But it is starting to get dark a lot earlier. I realized that the sun is already setting.
Has begun to set, right?
Yeah.
Sundown's like 6:30, but it couldn't come too soon. Shabbat and the Chag. It's been quite an eventful week to.
Is there any week recently that hasn't been eventful?
Right?
I mean, I feel like every week brings new adventures and new experiences to our country. And of course, the big event of the evening, of course, besides Shabbat, is the Laker game that is starting right now as well. So for those people who have tuned in, it is a true honor that you are taking time to focus on this, and so go Lakers, of course.
You know, Joel, I'm thinking we could have had probably a few thousand more viewers had we split the screen of our screen and actually shown the Laker game.
Yeah, we could have done some play-by-play from a Jewish angle,
right?
About and talk about basketball and Judaism and the connections there that exist between them. But that'll be for another time, maybe next season.
All right.
Well, it's wonderful to be with you, of course, Cantor. Wonderful to be with those of you who are tuning in. And we're very lucky that we have Jack Israel with us, along with his parents, David and Jamie. Jack is becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow morning. How you doing, Jack?
There they are.
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing very well.
Great to see you again.
I'm excited to be with you tomorrow morning, you and your family. And we were just talking before we went live about this amazing meal, this lunch that I guess it's your cousin, second cousin, Jamie. How would Jack's relation to her?
It's his aunt. It's my first.
Oh, his aunt. Oh, your first cousin.
It's my first cousin, so it's Jack's aunt, his aunt Elizabeth. Right? Well, I think that's how it works.
We can go with that. If you call her Aunt Elizabeth, that's what we're going to go with. So, but it sounds like she, as a chef, she's putting together an amazing meal for you tomorrow. But before we can even get to that, I see you have a challah on the table and, of course, the candles. So we'd love for you and your parents, Jack, to have the honor of lighting our candles tonight to welcome in Shabbat.
Well, yeah. Shabbat Shalom to everyone watching at home. Shabbat Shalom to people like my grandfather and his girlfriend, Papa, I call him, Milt and Rita, at home watching. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Anything else you want to share? I mean, I think you could just lead the service for us tonight. How are you feeling on the night before your bar mitzvah? What's going through your head?
Well, there's a lot of things going through my head, right? Not literally, that would be bad. But, there's always the nerve coming up on you, but there's also like butterflies in your stomachs, and then there's like all these thoughts zooming through your head so fast that you don't even know how to come to say them. So
yeah, I understand that. Well, that's, I think, just a sign that you are embarking on an incredible journey tomorrow morning. And obviously you've been on this journey and I've been able to be on it with you. But I think that's a sign that you are ready in the best of ways. If you have all of those things zooming through your head, if you had nothing going through your head and you were completely laid back about it, that would be a different story. But I have no doubt you're going to be amazing tomorrow morning. So why don't you, and yeah, me too. So why don't you go ahead and light the candles so we can kick off Shabbat together.
All right. Let's go. And since it is both Shabbat and the evening of Shmini Atzeret, we'll add the words Shel Shabbat, V'Shel Yom Tov. To bring.
We're gonna light again.
Oh,
nope, we're okay.
Let's not burn anything down the night before the bar mitzvah.
Right. Well, we're gonna have a prayer for healing later in the service.
Yes, thank you.
All right, let's all join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת ושל יום טוב.
Amen. And a little Kiddush for the sweetness of Shabbat.
A little Kiddush, and it's our festival Kiddush as well. So we have the melody, you'll notice, is for the festival and not for Shabbat. And we add the words for Shabbat and Shemini Chag HaAtzeret. Here we go.
Pull it up, Jack.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri agafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'am, ורוממנו מכל לשון, וקידשנו במצוותיו. ותיתן לנו, אדוני אלוהינו באהבה, שבתות למנוחה ומועדים לשמחה, חגים וזמנים לששון. את יום השבת הזה ואת יום השמיני חג העצרת הזה זמן שמחתנו באהבה מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. קיוונו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת ומועדי קודשך באהבה וברצון, בשמחה ובששון ייחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת בישראל והזמנים. And ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Big amen. Amen. Shabbat
Amen.
shalom and Chag
L'chaim.
Sameach and l'chaim. Take a sip of that, Jack. Nice.
Pretend sip. All right, and I see there is a challah on that table. So why don't we? Oh, a beautiful round challah. Still in the season of the high holidays and the new
Yeah.
year.
All right, let's all join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Amen.
Now, pull that thing apart, Jack, and share it with your parents.
Jack, any last words before you and your parents sign off? Any other message you want to give to the world on this evening, the night before your bar mitzvah? You're chewing, yes, of course. Your parents taught you well to wait until you're done chewing before you share your wisdom with us.
It's an ongoing theme.
Okay.
Oh, he's still chewing. Okay. I love it.
You're all good, Jack. You're all good now.
That was a big bite of challah. You're still going. That's impressive. Well,
Okay.
in the you ready now?
No.
No, not yet. Okay. Well, in the meantime, we'll wait. I still want to hear if you have any last messages, but while you're chewing, I just want to say Shabbat Shalom to all the people who are wishing us a Shabbat Shalom on Facebook. So thank you, and on YouTube. So there will be a few points during the service where we would love for you to share your own thoughts, and this is a good time. So as we're waiting for Jack to finish chewing his challah, great, hold on one second, and then it'll be your turn. If there's something that you are bringing with you into Shabbat, what is it that you want to hold on to and bring with you as we enter Shabbat this weekend. If there's something that you're willing to share with us, please feel free to add a comment about the piece of yourself, the world, whatever it may be that you want to hold on to as we enter Shabbat. Feel free to do that. And now, Jack, any final words of wisdom?
Final words of wisdom would probably be hope for a really good Hebrew tutor, because I got a really good one.
All right. Nice. Well, Mazal Tov to you, Jamie and David. Congratulations to the two of you as well. Look forward to being with you tomorrow morning. And Jack, enjoy the rest of your evening. Great to be with you.
Shabbat
Thank you.
shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom.
Chag Sameach.
Wonderful. Steve Johnson has already posted the one thing that he's going to be holding on to as we go into this Shabbat is the turn to fall weather. It is so nice. Isn't it wonderful that we're starting to see that turn? And even here in Los Angeles, where the leaves don't necessarily change color, we do start to see the weather change, and it's nice to know that seasons still exist and we can still feel them. So with that, let's move into the beginning of the service. Cantor Gurney, how are we going to start this evening?
We're going to start in a moment with Shalom Aleichem, which we often start with as you ask the question, what do we want to bring into Shabbat with us? And we do want to welcome the angels of Shabbat who come to our homes and bless us and give us peace. But when Shabbat coincides with the evening of a festival, the tradition is that the Kabbalat Shabbat Psalms are eliminated, because we have a lot of other things to get to since it's a Chag. And no Lechadodi tonight, believe it or not. That is the tradition. That also is one of our beautiful poems that we love each and every Shabbat, but we do not include that tonight. But it's okay, because we're going to sing Shalom Aleichem together, all right? So let's do that now. Enjoy the melody, the words. Think beautiful, peaceful thoughts. Let's all join together. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Olachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you listen carefully, you can hear the angels. Tzidkechem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
I love Shalom Aleichem. And actually, Melanie said that one of the things that she's holding on to is the joy of dancing, even in our own homes. And so hearing you sing Shalom Aleichem and then Melanie's post reminds me that every Shabbat, my family and I, we start off before we light candles, we sing Shalom Aleichem, and we march around the house, and every week a different person gets to lead the march, and we go to every single room with the idea being that we're bringing in those Shabbat angels into every room of our house. So it's a wonderful way to start Shabbat, and a wonderful way for us to dance both figuratively and sometimes even physically into Shabbat this evening. And since there is no L'chad Odi, at this point we move directly into the Mariv part of the service, and we begin, of course, the Mariv start of this part with Baruch Hu. So feel free to either stand or remain seated, but we now continue with our call to prayer.
And in keeping with the festival, we have some different melodies that we sing in the festival evenings that are different also from Shabbat. So you'll notice that some of our core prayers tonight, Baruch Hu, some of the endings of other prayers will have a little different sound, and that is the traditional sound for the evenings of a festival. We begin with the melody we all know and love. Lai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Before we head into Shema, we have Ahavat Olam, this prayer that we offer in the evening about love. You know, the Shema is actually sandwiched between two blessings and prayers about love, Ahavat Olam, and Ve'ahavta, of course, comes right after it. And where Ahavat Olam talks about the love of Torah, we have Simchat Torah coming tomorrow. We can celebrate together. So if there's something, again, a moment to add something to the chat, if there's a lesson or a value that you've received from Torah at some point in your life, something that you are holding on to, a teaching from our tradition that inspires you, guides you, does something for your soul, feel free to share that with us as we continue now with Ahavat Olam, about the love of our tradition, the love that we have for being connected to something much bigger than ourselves.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shakbenu v'kumenu, nasiach b'chukecha. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shakbenu v'kumenu. ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי חיינו לאורך ימינו ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה. 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 ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. Now I invite you all to join with me in the chanting of the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha. V'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך. וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem emet. I've been starting to go to one of our campuses a couple times a week now to be with the preschoolers. Obviously, socially distant. They're wearing masks. I'm wearing a mask. I stay apart from them. But there's something really enlivening about seeing these cute little faces. And of course, I'm only seeing half their faces, right? Nothing below their nose. I don't see any of that. But what I've found is that by focusing on those eyes that I see in those little kids, I've gained another appreciation for the sense of freedom in a time where so much of our time is spent in our homes, separate from people. There's something really inspiring about those little eyes of those little children. And so that's what I'm holding on to as we move into Micha Mocha, which is about freedom. And for me, this idea that when we can look into the eyes of someone else, that we can unlock something that can free us, and that we have the potential to unlock something in them that can potentially free something for them. So with that in mind, we move into Micha Mocha, the idea that if we could all just be looking more deeply into the eyes of the other, then maybe we can find a deeper sense of freedom for ourselves and for those around us.
Let's all join together with a lot of spirit. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטר בקודש, נורא תהילות, אוסף אל, מלכותך ראו פניך, חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, מלכותך ראו פניך, חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 זרי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 ונאמר כי פד אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
I'm sitting here, obviously, in my sukkah. Show you the schach. You can see through a little to the sky. Hashkivenu is our prayer that, of all the times of the year for us to really have a dead-on reference in Hashkivenu, it is during Sukkot, right? Sukkot Shlomecha, this idea of this sukkah of peace, this shelter of peace. And we know that the sukkah is temporary. We only spend a week out here. And then for the rest of the year, we are blessed, most of us, to have a home. Of course, there's so many who don't have homes, but those of us who have homes to go back into. And I think similarly, this idea of Hashkivenu, this idea that we are asking God for a sense of peace and protection. There are those moments in our own personal lives and in our society where it doesn't feel peaceful at all. It feels tumultuous and chaotic. It feels like the whole sukkah is falling apart and going to collapse on us. And at the same time, we are supposed to look up through the trellis, through the top of our sukkah, through that schach, and see those stars and be reminded that there is something much bigger at play here. That in this moment, it might be tumultuous and we might feel that sukkah is going to collapse on us. But we recognize that just like those stars in the sky that have been around for millions and millions of years, that there is something eternal. There is a sense of eternal peace that we can hope for, that we can yearn for. And so in these moments in our society, and sometimes for those of us in our own lives at the moment where we feel as though that sukkah may collapse at any point, we have this prayer every single night to remind us that we have something more eternal, and that is a sense of peace that we can hold on to and yearn for and grasp, even in those times of shakiness. So with that in mind, we really do pray for a sense of Sukkot Shalom, a sense of a shelter of peace for us and for our entire world at this time. Continue with Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom, Shalom, V'hamidenu Malkeinu L'chaim. Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha, Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai.
guard us from all harmful things. O Adonai, keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
We continue now with the Amidah, prayer in which we remember our ancestors. We ask for strength. Tonight we're going to do the opening line. The Cantor will do the opening line of the Amidah, and then we will continue silently through the rest of it so that everyone can have their own moment of silent reflection.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha.
We continue with our own silent reflection.
Miul ratzon imrefi vegion libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri vegoali. Oseh shalom bimramav. Ho yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru Amen.
We always take a moment during our service to offer a Misha Berach, a prayer for healing. At this time, if there's anyone whom you're thinking of, please feel free to write their names down in the chat so we can be thinking about them. And of course, we're thinking about so many people in our own community, in our city and around the world who are in need of healing. So we think of all of them and we hold them in our hearts as we continue now with Misha Berach.
Misheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
I can tell it's getting dark. I feel like I'm
It is
looking
dark.
into just a flashlight here, but thank God for bright screens. I want to take just a few minutes to talk a little bit about these 3 holidays that are ending the fall circuit for all of us. We've had many holidays, and today was Hoshana Rabbah, tomorrow is Shmini Atzeret, and for those who are more liberal Jews, tomorrow is both Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah, but for those who are not, those are split into 2 separate days. So I just wanted to reflect a little on all 3 of those, just for a few minutes, because especially as liberal Jews, we spend very little time thinking about Hoshana Rabbah and Shmini Atzeret. We do put a lot of emphasis behind Simchat Torah, but Hoshana Rabbah is this day where Hoshana means please save us. Hoshana Rabbah, please save us, God. We're towards the very end of Sukkot, and we take the willow branches, and there's a whole tradition in more traditional synagogues where people walk around in hakafot, and they beat the willows so that all the leaves come off. And it's really the symbol of this idea of the frailty of the human condition. We had Unatana Tokef during the high holidays, and we are reminded yet again, not only are we sitting in a sukkah, which reminds us of the frailty of human existence, but then we are supposed to beat these willows, have the leaves come off, as yet another ritual, which reminds us that how lucky we are to be here, and how carefully we have to guard our lives, our health, care for those around us, care for the world around us, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So it's not that on Yom Kippur, once we're done with Ne'ilah, that all of a sudden we can just be completely joyous. There are still these moments, even though Sukkot is a time, Zman Simchatenu, of all the holidays, this is the one that is declared a time of pure joy. Even in the midst of that joy, we are supposed to remember the joy of being able to survive the frailty of human existence. And also, the rabbis say this is our 3rd and final opportunity for tshuva. We had Rosh Hashanah, we had Yom Kippur, and then here, as we end Sukkot, we have this final day to really focus on this concept of tshuva. The idea that we have more than one chance to figure this out, that you walk into the year and you, at least our tradition says, you deserve sometimes more than one chance to try and figure it out. And we all need to give ourselves a little break. We have to have some compassion for ourselves. And also, I think our tradition with Hoshana Rabbah is reminding us that we also have to give some other people the benefit of the doubt, or at least delve into some important questions with those who have either wronged us or those we disagree with, to try and understand where they're coming from. So we have Hoshana Rabbah, we have the frailty of our human existence again with this day, and then we move into Shmini Atzeret, which is the 8th day of Sukkot. Is supposed to be a solemn gathering, and there's some There's not a lot of clarity, actually, on what the holiday even means. Atzeret is unclear. Some say it comes from the word atzar, which means to stop, as in to stop working. But in the context of the passages where we find it in both Leviticus and Numbers, it seems to imply an extension of the 7 days of Sukkot. And Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch, who was a 19th century rabbi and scholar, really inferred that the meaning of this holiday is one to gather up or to store up, so that in the final days of Sukkot, in the final days of this fall holiday season, we have to store up the sentiments of gratitude and devotion that we have been collecting over these holidays. Now, this year we've been apart, but if you think about most years, this is the busy season where we are thrust into communal celebrations in a way that we don't necessarily the rest of the year. Most of our holidays are home-based holidays, but the high holidays and Sukkot are these opportunities for us to gather together as a community. And so, according to Rabbi Hirsch, this is the day in which we are supposed to gather up all the gratitude that we have experienced over these last holidays and hold on to them, because now we have kind of a quiet season. We're off the hook until we come back together for Hanukkah in a few months. But this is also a day where we don't shake the lulav or the etrog, that we no longer say the blessing for dwelling in the sukkah. We recite Yizkor, which we will do tomorrow morning, and we start to transition into this blessing for rain. This idea that rain is now becomes a central part of the Amidah. You'll notice that starting this week and up until Pesach, we have now changed the line of the Amidah to ask for rain. Of course, rain, this idea of water, this idea of nourishment, this idea of rebirth. We have been working so hard, at least we should have been, spiritually over these last months or so, to really try and figure out how can we nourish our souls? How can we be entering this new year to be a better person, to improve ourselves, improve the world around us? And now we ask God to bring rain, to bring nourishment, not just to us and our souls, but to bring nourishment to the world in which we live and to bring nourishment to our entire society. And so it's this outpouring, literally outpouring from heaven, that we are asking God to bring sustenance and nourishment to our souls and to the world in which we live. And then finally, and what we do in the liberal world is to combine Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah. Finally, we have Simchat Torah, which, by the way, you don't find in the Torah. You don't find any commandment. This is a homegrown, community organizing-based holiday. Unlike the holidays that we find in the Torah that are declared as commandments for us to follow, and unlike Hanukkah and Purim, which are not in the Torah, but are declared holidays that by the rabbis for us to follow because of their historical narratives and the fact that they commemorate historic moments in our history. Simchat Torah was something that kind of came up from the people. Traditionally, it's thought that from the 8th century in Babylonia, this idea of the combination of reading the last part of the Torah, since we're at the end of the book of Deuteronomy, and also a tradition that existed starting a long time ago of something called the Siyum, that when you finish a tractate of Talmud, when you finish a section of Talmud, you're supposed to have a celebration. You're supposed to have a joyous commemoration of the fact that you learned something new. I've been teaching a Talmud class for some people here at the synagogue for the last 29 weeks. So we had a little Siyum, virtual Siyum this week for those who participated in that class. But this is an opportunity for us to celebrate not only the end of something, but the beginning of something. The fact that we have been wandering through the world as Jews our entire history. Only recently did we get the land of Israel to really claim as our own. And the one thing that we have been able to take with us through thick and thin has been the Torah. And not just the physical Torah, not just the 5 books of Moses, but what we have been able to take with us are the teachings of our tradition and the values. And what better way for us to celebrate that than for us to be joyous and to dance around? We, of course, the Hakafot, the same thing that we do with Hoshana Rabbah, where we are supposed to circle around and beat those willows. Now we take the Torah and we circle around 7 times. The joy of the Torah, the joy of this celebration. So what I hope that you can take with you from these 3 holidays is, number 1, just like Hoshana Rabbah, which may seem outdated, there is still an essence to that where we can reclaim a ritual. And it would be amazing if the Reform movement could figure out a way to reclaim this idea of Hoshana Rabbah and even Shmini Atzeret. That Jews have been doing that for a long time. Just because something is ancient doesn't mean it's outdated. And then what really this culmination of Simchat Torah, this idea that we have a teaching and a value system that has guided us for thousands of years, how joyous it has made us, how we should rejoice in the fact that we have something that can guide us through all the challenges that we've faced as the Jewish people. And that Torah is something that's not only ancient, but something that comes from our own lives, that we continue to create Torah with our own stories, our own narratives, and the importance of holding on to both tradition and the relevance in our lives today. And so I hope that as you celebrate Simchat Torah with us virtually tomorrow, but as you enter into now this low period between these fall holidays and Hanukkah, that you really take time to think about what are the lessons, what is the Torah of your life right now, and what can you hold on to, and what can you add? What's the next chapter of that Torah, and how can you start writing that next chapter so that we can continue this cycle of not only ending something, but beginning something new. And now we really are kicking off the new year as we celebrate the Torah. So those are just a few reflections and thoughts on this week's Torah portion. Well, not really this week's Torah portion, because we start the whole new Torah next week. But a little taste of how we're ending this holiday circuit. And now, as you can see, it's extremely dark. It's gotten a lot darker here in my backyard.
You know what
so
I have for you, Joel, in this moment? First of
what's
all,
that?
Beautiful and inspiring and meaningful words.
Thank you.
Captured so much of just the central feelings and emotions we have now. And I don't have a prayer for light for you, but I'm going to stretch this piece out long enough so that if you do have extra lighting in the house to bring into yours.
I don't, but we're almost at the end of the service anyway, so
it's better
it's
now,
okay.
by the way. But I am going to add to your words, if you will, this beautiful musical setting that's based upon our prayer for Thanksgiving that we have in all of the every time we recite the Amidah, the Modim Anachnu Lach. It's part of our liturgy that rarely gets spoken aloud, but it's a contemporary setting of that particular prayer that we give thanks to God. And part of it's in English, so we'll be able to understand that it's also gratitude for little things that we overlook often. And it's a setting by a colleague, Cantor Jonathan Komisar. It's a beautiful piece, so I hope you all enjoy. Modim Anachnu Lach.
מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ואלוהי אבותינו, ואימותינו לעולם ועד. מודים אנחנו לך, צור חיינו, מגן אישנו, אתה הוא לדור ודור. מודים אנחנו לך, לעולם ועד. For the sun that rises in the east, for the seas that roar a prayer, for the stillness of a snowfall, for a breath of autumn air, for the grasp within my fingers, for a mind that makes me whole, for the voice that God has given me to speak the truth within my soul. Modim אנחנו לך מודים, אנחנו לך מודים, אנחנו לך לעולם ועד. ועל ניסך שבכל יום עמנו, שבכל יום עמנו. ועל נפלאותיך וטובותיך ערב ובוקר וצהריים. For the laughter of the children, for the way they greet the day, for the endless stream of questions that remind us how to play, and for the ones we call beloved who take away our fear. They tell us without saying it, remember I'm here, remember I'm here. מודים אנחנו לך, מודים אנחנו לך מודים, אנחנו לך לעולם ועד. צור חיינו, מגן אישנו, אתה הוא לדור ודור. מודים אנחנו לך לעולם ועד. מודים, מודים.
Wow. Remind us who composed that?
Cantor Jonathan Commissar, he was a student of mine when I was on the faculty at Hebrew Union College years ago, and he's a brilliant talent composer and pianist. And he wrote this piece just a couple of years ago, and it's exquisite. And it's a privilege to sing it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing it with us.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Before we conclude with Mourner's Kaddish, a few announcements. As I alluded to earlier, tomorrow, because of the holiday, we will have Yizkor tomorrow morning during the 10 o'clock service. That's with Rabbi Leader and Cantor Gurney, so feel free to join us for that service. And then we celebrate Simchat Torah tomorrow evening. There are actually two parts to our Simchat Torah celebration. Beginning at 5 o'clock, all of the rabbis and also the cantors are going to participate in a Simchat Torah learning session. The cantors are going to sing and chant some Torah, and each of the rabbis is bringing a passage of Torah that is meaningful to them in some way, and they're going to have 5 minutes to teach about that passage of Torah. So that begins at 5 o'clock online, so feel free to join us for that. And then at 7 p.m., Commandment 613, this film screening of a movie is going to take place, followed by a live Q&A. So two different, we left the space there for you to grab some food or take a little break from the screen, but two parts to our experience tomorrow for Simchat Torah. So feel free to join us for both of those. And then we have a few new classes starting, as I mentioned before, with the Siyum for my Talmud class, and I know Cantor Gurney has been doing Music Matters for the same length of time, 29 weeks. It's crazy. There are some new classes beginning this upcoming week. Cantor Gurney is going to be teaching cantillation, right? Hebrew chanting for both Torah and Haftorah.
Hopefully Haftorah cantillation as well. Yeah.
Great. So if you want to learn how to chant Torah and Haftorah so that we can incorporate you into some of our experiences and some of our Shabbat services, or just for your own pleasure, feel free to join us for that. And then we also have 2 other classes that will be beginning as well. Beyond the basics, really kind of taking the ideas of the intro to Judaism, but going a little deeper and going through a variety of concepts that are central to what it means to be Jewish and what are central to both our history and our theology. So that begins this week on Wednesday with Rabbi Leader. And then we have another class called the Epics of Jewish History, where we're going to go through different periods of Jewish history and talk about the significant moments and concepts that have come out of those different times of history. So feel free to join in for that as well. So many things going on. Also, then next Sunday, you can join us, I think it's at 4 p.m. Don't quote me on that, but 2020 election trends with both Dan Schnur and Stephen Windmuller. So an opportunity, there you go, 4 p.m. I got it right. So feel free to join in as we get closer to this election. What an amazing, fascinating journey it's been. So feel free to join in. Both of them brilliant and probably going to have some wonderful insights for us as we get ever so closer to that election day. So those are just a few of the things. There are more, so feel free to go to our website. And also, just before we go to Mourner's Kaddish, I want to thank Don Levy and Jessica Reisenberg and Justine Buckley for all 3 of them being a part of this behind the scenes and helping to make sure that this is all happening. So thank you to all of them as well. And now we are going to move into the Mourner's Kaddish, our opportunity to think about those who are no longer with us. Always at the end of the service, our chance to think about them. So you feel free to add any names that you'd like to the chat if there's someone whom you're thinking of. And then we will now share the names of both Shloshim, those who have passed away in the last month, as well as our yard site list before we come back together to offer Mourner's Kaddish. We begin with Shloshim, those who have passed away during the past month. Al Finchy, Melvin Fischler, Marjorie Zash Flicker, Arthur Frankel, Randall Gingold, Monty Gordon, Sandra Moss Hyman, Judd Majilnik, Lily Markowitz, Seymour Nadelman, Lori Opper, Margaret Peggy Phillips, Irene Stein. On this Shabbat, we commemorate the following yard sites: Cliff Ackerman, Naomi Addy, Mel Baumwall, Daniel Blatt, Leonard Boasberg, Richard Bookman, Morris Carr, Ronald Cohen, Dixon Dan, Max Edelstein, Michael Epport, Samuel Fine, Gerald Fields, Max Firestein, Harvey Flax, Raymond Gerson, Rose Gilfenbane, Barbara Gordon, Eleanor Greenberg, Gert Greenspoon, Sophie Hamburg, Max Hartfield, Margaret Hochschild, Milton Hoffman, Miriam Hoffman, Norman Hoffman, Ruth Hoffenberg, Jackie Holden, Dora Immergluck, Ruth Jacobs, Helen Judah, Francis Kalin, Beverly Bissell Kalish, Samuel Klein, Meyer Koslow, Melvin Kramer, Eleanor Kruger, Ray Kurtz, Sylvia Lackman, Mike Lisak, Harold Leventhal, Irving Levinson, Lillian Lewis, Herbert Lindenbaum, Sam Lipman, Ted Lunan, Lillian Moraney, Aaron Moyer, John Nehorai, Ian Nygaard, Meyer Orlikoff, Cynthia Perlman, Lee Peters, Joe Pollock, Alan Portnoy, Sheldon Prescott, Sophia Ratner, Cynthia Rosenwald, Marvin Rose, Jeff Rothberg, Louis Sallet, Irving Saltzman, Norman Skadron, Dorothy Schwartz, Herbert Searman, Joyce Schaefer, Simon Sherman, Sarah Sinderoff, Florence Smith, Leonard Trank, Julius Union, Louis Vigon, Felicia Weber, Irma Weisskopf. We join together now in Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'kadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'vyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. Ba'gala u'vizman kari v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da miran be'alma v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehi shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
And we're going to end with this Oseh Shalom that is going to lift you out of your seats if you're seated, and if you're standing, you're going to dance.
Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'ako Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'ako Yisrael. Yaseh shalom b'meromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'meromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'meromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'ako Yisrael. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'ako Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'ako Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'ako Israel. Amen.
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 Shabbat shalom, everyone. By the way, I made one little mistake. We're not celebrating Simchat Torah tomorrow. We're celebrating it on Sunday. So I'm just ahead of myself. But thank you for joining us. I feel like I'm in some horror movie, like out in the woods. What was that old horror movie? The one where they always do the close-up was a mock It was a mock documentary. Gosh, I wish I remembered the name of it, but
I know
you know what I'm talking about. If someone remembers, you can. Oh, Blair Witch Project.
Night of
That's
the
what it
Living
was.
Dead.
Blair Witch Project. That's what it was. But anyway, Cantor, always a pleasure to
My great
hear your
pleasure,
voice, to lead with you.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom to
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you. I have to figure out how to make it back to my house from
Yeah.
from the
Please do
darkness
so.
that I'm in. So thank you everyone for joining us, and have a wonderful Shabbat. And of course, go Lakers. I don't know what the score is, but hopefully they're ahead.
That'll be good
So
fun.
thank you everyone.
All righty.